This is Klean Radio, and it starts right now.
Hey folks, I'm Pat O'Brien. Welcome again to another show, and we thank you for joining us. Especially want to thank our friends in New York City. Yeah. We're on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, the voice of the Mets. We try to get something moving again this year, hopefully. And we're on their side. My old friend Len Berman's there. And I love WOR. And I'm a New Yorker as much as we go there a lot.
Yeah.
It's the station to be on.
Absolutely. I can't believe we actually are on.
I love it.
It's great.
I love it.
I'm
The
really
Mets, the Mets started off the season dominating the back pages of the tabloids for all the right reasons. Matt Harvey back from, I think everybody should get Tommy John surgery in high school. And then they could just get it out of the way. But he looks really good, and Bartolo Colon. I mean, they got some problems here and there, but we're going to follow the Mets this year, and we're glad to be on WR. Thank you back there, and welcome all you New Yorkers. And by the way, if you haven't seen the Frank Sinatra documentary, there's a lot of New York in there. There's a lot of Sinatra, so that's that. Andrew Spanswick is here. Hi, Andrew. How are you?
Good, Pat. How are you?
We both spent the whole week in a dentist chair, not together. But across time, I don't know. Maybe we're in the same area. I don't even know.
I was in Beverly Hills.
So was I.
Really?
So
we were probably like one dentist away from.
We're like
each
two
other.
little 10-year-olds texting each other pictures of our
selfies of our own
teeth.
bad teeth.
It's just awful.
It's really bad,
and we need help, but we'll get it. And we're at the right place because Klean Treatment Center is the place to go. We're also on in Seattle, Portland, Astoria, Eugene, all over the country. CleanRadio.com, Facebook.com/Klean Radio. By the way, on the Facebook thing, get your questions in early. And so we can get them on the air. But and also what you'd like to see us talk about. You're part of the show as well, and it's growing. I got a lot of texts last week or emails from the UK who listen to us out there. At Klean Radio is our Twitter handle. Mine is POB Pat O'Brien. See, I can't talk my dental work. At POB Pat O'Brien, and yours is Klean CEO. Klean CEO.
Klean CEO. Yes, which is the best Twitter handle ever.
I don't know.
Hey, we'll have a contest. See who can come up with a better one.
Well, it's easy to remember, of course.
But I've already got like 127,000 followers, so I don't want to screw that up.
I've got none. I delete them as soon as I get mad. A couple things up top. We've got a great guy. Pamela Wible's on. She's the doctor who wrote this incredible article on physicians committing suicide. She'll be on in a couple minutes. And my old pal Matt Wiese is on. Luther.
Hello.
Do you still go by Luther?
I have an Instagram, Real Luther Reigns.
Yeah.
But Matt Wiese.
Yeah. What year did I beat you in the WWE?
Every year.
Yeah, okay. Just wanted to make sure we knew that.
Yeah.
Matt's got quite the story to tell, and he's coming on in a little bit. Just quickly, a couple of things for you, Andrew. First of all, Johnny Manziel got out of rehab.
Yes.
And now turns that page in his life, and we congratulate him for that. But getting out of rehab is tough. And what would you say to, not Johnny, I'm using him as a gateway here, but to people who get out and they go, now what?
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest problems, and especially because when people tend to start using or become involved in drugs, they sort of lose track with where they are in life and what's going on with their identity, both personally and developmentally. So when you get out of rehab, you're really sort of starting over. And it's a very important time of where you're going to decide which direction you're going to go.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
Yeah, because I think it's like guys that keep wanting to go back to prison because they think it's easier. I think the same thing happens with addicts. Sometimes, the trying to find a new path gets hard or difficult, and they immediately relapse and go back into using again. So it's a time of great optimism, but also it should be a time of great care.
We have a great, by the way, our show call-in number is 800-222-5222, and we have a 24/7 hotline that you can call, and there are people there, 888-601-6040. And before we get Dr. Wible on, we have we have a great outpatient, and I think that's one of the keys now in recovery as you get out and go into the world a new person to maybe check back in a little bit.
Yeah, we're really expanding IOP services, which are intensive outpatient services for people that, are working or have come out of rehab or think maybe they need to go to rehab but don't really know. It's a good place to figure out if you have problems and get them diagnosed and work on them without having to go into a full-blown rehab. and also we're experimenting with new forms of treatment. I've got a really exciting program we're developing in West Hollywood's IOP, which is based on harm reduction. And we're going to be hearing more about that over the next few months as that program really takes off. And some interesting things might be happening on the media front with that program and exposing mental health and substance abuse to a wider audience on TV. So.
And I start my group back out there.
Yeah, your group's going on.
And I'm excited about that. Joining us now on the phone, because she's busy, and, we're all busy, is Dr. Pamela Wible, who is a pioneer in medicine. She left what she called assembly line medicine. I like that line. And has gone into innovative practices and has all kinds of great different ways to look at the medical world. She's written this article about physician suicide that was the largest, most read article in the medical journals. Both my doctors, who are still alive, ironically, have read it because there are apparently 400. I mean, this is amazing. Well, let's get her on and talk about it. Hello, Dr. Wible. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for holding on for that long time listening to us yak. So what was first of all, what was the basis of your article? How many doctors do commit suicide? Do we know?
Well,
do we have numbers?
We don't have accurate numbers, but we believe it to be over 400 physicians per year in the United States of America, which is essentially, the size of an entire medical school gone every year. And with the doctor shortage, we can't afford to be losing a medical school a year, of doctors.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really want to lose anyone.
Right. I mean, it's for many reasons.
Yeah. Dentists are, I think, are number one, correct, in suicide? They're right up there.
Well, it depends who you ask and which article you're on. But, I mean, it's such a taboo topic, and only 17 states really have mandatory reporting laws for violent deaths. So, it's just so taboo that we don't really have the figures. But I can tell you I lost both the men I dated in medical school to suicide. And in my little town, which is kind of like the most idyllic place in the United States to practice medicine, high reimbursement, low malpractice, like a really not a very litigious place here in Eugene, Oregon.
Yeah.
We lost 3 physicians in just over a year to suicide.
That's
in our
terrible.
small town.
I've been working with physicians, I guess, for almost 25 years now, maybe a little bit more on and off. So one of the things that I would find over and over again, friends of mine would be good doctors, and they had one of the sort of negative things about being a physician is, not knowing when to ask for somebody else's help, which is ironically what we see from another segment of society, people that just, have other shame-based issues. And, and it's as simple as one friend of mine that was a doctor actually hit his head on the doorway, and he sewed it up himself, and then ended up getting infection. They found him dead on the sofa 3 days later. But so it's just if the arrogance of thinking that you should even get help from another doctor for a physical illness is there, imagine what it's like for a doctor when they have a psychiatric illness like depression or anxiety or substance abuse.
Doctors underutilize health care services in general. We use them 30% less than the general population. So we're not even going, to get screenings that we recommend for our patients, right? And then for us to admit that we might have a mental health problem, with all the stigma, cultural stigma, and in our profession, we could have very negative repercussions with the medical board that would scrutinize us for the rest of our lives if we revealed that we ever went to a psychiatrist. It's just, it's horrible.
We're seeing this right now in the sports world as well, right?
Sports, airline pilot.
People are actually coming forward saying they have a disability and a problem.
Josh Hamilton, the
which
Angels,
should be protected by federal law under Americans Disabilities Act, but yet we're still seeing large employers and high-profile people being actually denied their civil rights to be able to get treatment and get better.
Denied contractual money.
Yeah.
Dr. Wible, what is it the pressure? Is it the availability of drugs? Is it playing God, which I know a lot of doctors actually think that way sometimes, but what's the deal?
Well, I think different than a lot of other professions, like say you went into real estate and it didn't really work out, you could just maybe go into banking or try something else. But for physicians, this is our soul's purpose. We are here as healers, and it's not really a field that we can transfer, just let's do real estate next year, we'll try something else. And so it's our heart and soul and our identity is within this profession. So they find that physicians who are dying by suicide are really not troubled by personal problems so much as just professional problems. And I think it is just, we're in a culture where there's a lot of bullying going on and a lot of unprocessed grief. You know, look at what we see every day. Just, we have to tell parents their 3-year-old died in a car accident, and they're shrieking and screaming in the room, and you can hear that voice screaming for the rest of your life in your head, and you have nowhere to go to talk to somebody about how it felt to tell the parents that their child died, and then because you get interrupted, you got to go to room 10 to see Mrs. Jones who's having a heart attack.
You know, Pamela, I think the stories you've brought up are so interesting, and I've been working, like I said before, with physicians, and one thing that really I noticed was that in the last 20 years or so, we've seen an eroding of respect for physicians. That the government pays for our health care now, or, you know, insurance company, you really go where the insurance company tells you sometimes more than what doctor you'd like to see. And it used to be when, like, doctors worked in or lived in a small town, they would give away free care to people that couldn't afford it. But for that, they got a lot of respect from the community and other narcissistic type rewards. And that's largely eroded now as doctors are, as you, I think, talk to them being more like process workers. And it's all about procedures and lining up procedures and how many procedures they can do to meet their quotas. And I mean, it's really gotten out of control.
Yeah, that's absolutely the case. There's two forms of practicing medicine. You're either on your production-driven, you know, model, or you're in a relationship-driven model. And the old-style model before Medicare, before 1965, was relationship-driven. So you had that sacred relationship between the patient and the physician, which worked well for both people. And when they did a recent interview of family practice docs and asked them, you know, what's the most satisfying part of your profession, I think it was like over 61% said it's that patient-physician relationship, you know, and the next one in line, I think, was like the academic stimulation. So we really live for our patients and love what we do and want to care for them, and we've allowed so many third parties to just enter the exam room with us that are so unnecessary, because let's just face it, how many people do you need in the room for a pap smear or bronchitis? You don't need like a football team of people managing you.
Right.
You know, I mean, this is simple stuff what most people need, and so when that relationship is not there, then you don't get the satisfaction, you know, the joy of even practicing medicine. You get these angry people who are pissed off with their
even the right
insurance
follow-up. I mean, the whole idea of continuum of care and being able to work with a single set of practitioners for a problem is eroded by basically the industrialization of medicine.
Right.
Dr. Wible, thank you. By the way, you just brought me back into the 60s. That was the debate question in 1965. Resolve that complete care should include Medicare or something like that. And I remember researching Medicare and health care back. I'm really not that old. I was 10 years old when I was in high school. But no, I was 20. No, what would make me younger now?
I don't know, Pat. Maybe you're in high school now.
High school with money.
Did you get the GED last week?
So it's idealmedicalcare.org. That's the best place to see your work, Dr. Wible?
Oh, yeah, right. And I'll reply to everyone. I'll call everyone
You do
back.
that, by the way.
Anyone can email me. I'm one of those old-fashioned people that still believes in getting in touch with people.
It's insanity. I'm looking at you, and you respond to comments.
Oh, yeah, I respond to comments. I have people emailing me. This is funny. I had a woman email me from Mississippi because she's having a medical issue that she can't resolve with her doctor. Of course, I can't give people medical advice if they don't see me in person. I called her right back because on my contact form you put in your phone number. She's like, I can't believe you called me. I just emailed you 30 seconds ago. I've been trying to get in touch with my doctor down the street in Mississippi for 2 years. I can't get in touch with him. And you're in Oregon. You called me back in 30 seconds. I think it's funny.
It's first of all,
it's a sad state of affairs.
If I answered my comments, they would be so R-rated, X-rated. Anyway, thank you. It's idealmedicalcare.org, right?
Right.
And thank you so much, Dr. Wible. Great stuff. Great
thinking.
Great forward thinking. Thank you very much. There she goes, and that's a. People can't figure out that. Why would a doctor? It's just.
Why would a doctor have problems?
Yeah, we know because we look into this stuff. But
I think that's one of the central myths that people stigmatize alcoholics and drug addicts and people with mental illness for a long time is that somehow they're from a background that's different, or there's something wrong with them, or there's something morally or genetically wrong with them. And we know now that it's not how it works at all, and that it hits everybody. Like I've said on the show before, over 50% of people in the United States are going to have a case of major depression in their life. Well, that's pretty much, that's over half the population experience some form of mental illness. And substance abuse is well within the 24-25% range. And above addiction, you go into actual just abuse, you could say it's even larger than that. In colleges and university, binge drinking can be as high as 70% in some colleges. So you're looking at a huge percent of the population engaging, if not addictive behavior, certainly abusive behavior of substances.
We were talking about Josh Hamilton. We're going to get Matt on here right now, but Josh Hamilton, the all-star player who got $125 million from the LA Angels after having a stellar year at Texas Rangers, 41 home runs, batting about 255, 265. Actually batting close over 300. Now he's batting about 240. But he said, I've got a cocaine problem. Again, this is another relapse.
Yep.
And they're trying to mess around with his money. They're humiliating him publicly. And it's awful. And if you're a Josh Hamilton fan, could be a nicer guy, but he had a problem.
And then this is, I think, if people look at this not as like, if he's making all those millions of dollars, what an idiot for doing cocaine. Just think of what it means for that person to need to use cocaine, that they're willing to risk millions of dollars. And I think that shows you how strong these addictions can become, where the ramifications, even though that was your identity, famous baseball star or famous doctor or, just a regular person with a good life, and then you get mixed up into something else with drugs or whatever, then all of a sudden all that doesn't matter. There's no value to that anymore in your mind. And that's what that's what we're dealing with when we break people of the curse of craving for addiction.
In our studio right here, Luther! I want to do it like they do, but Matt Wiese, who was Luther Rain, right?
Luther Reigns, yes.
R-E-I-G-N.
R-E-I-G-N-S.
Yeah, Luther Reigns. Yeah. What am I thinking?
Yep.
Matt, how are you, man? Good to see you again.
I'm great.
Good to see you. Matt,
thanks for having me.
Glad you're here. Matt, we're going to get into his story. He's an actor and a professional wrestler of the WWE. And right off the bat, we're going to get to your story, but Patrick Kennedy and Buddy Totten and Rand here, Andrew and I tried to explain to him that wrestling was not actually real, that these things are... Can you straighten up that office bet?
Well, it's scripted, but it's real. It was like being in a car wreck every night.
Yeah. But you know what's going to happen at the end.
You do.
Okay,
yes.
so we won that argument with them.
Yeah, with Buddy.
So you have an amazing story. I mean, you got there and you became a star, and then suddenly, what kind of drugs were you taking?
Well, listen, I've been doing drugs since I was 11 years old. So I did, I did a lot of my drugs before I was with WWE.
Right.
When I got to WWE, I started taking pain pills because I was on the road every night, wrestling every night, and you needed those pain pills to get through,
What kind of pain pills were you taking?
Vicodin, Oxycontin, Somas, Xanax.
Just anything that you think might help.
I was taking about 90 pills a day.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And snorting Oxy, right?
Yeah, snorting Oxycontins. Yeah.
There's a movie or documentary called Prescription Thugs, which is out, and I've seen it, and it's great. Is it out or coming out?
I just saw it on Netflix.
Be in Tribeca, right?
Or is it Apple TV?
It premieres at Tribeca.
But
I just saw it on some download thing.
Yeah, it goes through the whole nightmare of these wrestlers. That'd be you, and they had a couple football players in there as well. Who are the Prescription Thugs?
Well, in the movie, it's me, it's Chris Bell, the director. He's a dear friend of mine. Chris Bell decided to do this movie, and he brought me into it.
His brother was Mike Bell.
His brother was Mike Bell.
Who got tossed around by you guys.
Yeah, he was another professional wrestler.
Yeah, but he wasn't ever supposed to win, right?
No, he passed away in 2008. Me, Chris Bell, some football player from the Patriots, Chris Lieben from the UFC,
Right.
Ryan Sakota from WWE. So,
this is your first interview since you had your stroke.
Yes.
2009?
December 28th of 2009.
It's just amazing, Andrew. I mean, the guy, you've come back from like one of the worst strokes ever, right? Didn't you? In fact, you were so loaded, you didn't even know you had a stroke, right?
Well, here, I'll give you short version. My doctor he asked me when I could speak again, he said, "Did you know you had a stroke?" And I said, "No." He said, "How could you not know it?" He said, "It's one of the most painful things you'll ever go through." And I said, "Doc, I was taking 90 pain pills a day. I didn't know I had a stroke."
Right. Wow.
So
Is that possible?
Yeah, I mean, well, clearly it's possible it happened.
I know, but I mean that.
Yeah, no, I think that there's all I hate to even bring up stories like this because it sounds like war stories, and sometimes I hate saying them. But the truth of the matter is that most people don't see the really sort of extreme reactions that people have to long-term or excessive drug addiction. And a lot of people, like, they smoke crack and they'll have a stroke and they can't move their arm and it withers away. And I don't want to sound like this is so common that it's going to happen if you smoke crack kind of problem. But what happens to people because of drugs can be quite devastating, even if they don't die. There's a huge percentage of people that don't die that have really chronic long-term physical and mental health problems that were related to their drug addiction.
So people don't... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, dementia is a huge one. We see that a lot with crystal meth, and we see that a lot with cocaine and other drugs. There's a lot of other disorders that develop out of, you talk about being punch drunk with boxers. People that drink too much, eventually they'll become, wet brain, which basically means they've destroyed and atrophied parts of their brain from using too much alcohol.
And then, Matt, you didn't... It affected, you lost a good portion of your brain function, right?
30% of my brain was killed during the stroke. Here's what my doctor said. He said, "Matt, you had a massive, massive, massive stroke." Those are his exact words. And I saw him last week. I see him, periodically for checkups.
Sure.
He said, "Matt, you had the worst stroke I have ever seen.
Wow.
He said you would have been dead within the next 20 minutes had your friends not found you." So, by the grace of God, my friends found me. And
also you lost the part of your brain that eliminates withdrawal or something,
yes, right? Yes. The hippocampus.
Hippocampus.
Yeah.
Wow. So
that was a blessing then, right?
Yes.
In a strange way.
Yeah.
Well,
I wouldn't recommend it as a treatment process, but yeah.
Well, the doctor said, if you'd have went into withdrawals, you wouldn't have survived. And then when I did survive, they said he would never walk or talk again. And here again, by the grace of God, I lived in a stroke rehabilitation center, and
How many months?
2 months. Yeah. Yeah.
Staring at the ceiling.
But then, eventually started working with me every day, 8 hours a day, walking, talking. I had to learn how to do everything.
Everything.
I had to learn how to walk again, talk again, read again, write again. If I looked at that piece of paper, it would look like a foreign language to me.
So do you have any insight into the behavior that led to the stroke at this point?
Listen, man, I was doing drugs since I was 11 years old.
Right.
Smoking weed, smoking cocaine, you name it, I did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, man.
For you, what was all that about?
I just wanted to get high,
Yeah,
it wasn't that I was depressed. It wasn't anything like that, It's just, I wanted to party and have a great time.
Yeah.
Right.
It's pretty normal thoughts, but people don't think about the consequences. We're going to take a break. We're back with Matt Wiese. The documentary is called Prescription Thugs. I thought the Prescription Thugs were the doctors, to be honest with you.
They are too.
Right.
Yeah.
And Buddy Todd will be back in, and he'll be
King of all social media.
Crushed to know that wrestling is scripted. But we'll be back with Matt, and we'll talk about the time I just beat the hell out of him one time. We'll be back in a minute. Stay with us.
Are you addicted to drugs or alcohol, but unable to commit to an inpatient rehab stay? Introducing Klean Treatment Center's Outpatient Treatment. This drug and alcohol treatment program is designed specifically for the working professional. Don't let your commitments of running a business, taking care of a child, or maintaining your college classes get in the way of your recovery from addiction. With daytime, evening, or individualized programs, Klean's Outpatient Treatment will fit your life. Call now for a free screening. Professional guidance is standing by. Now back to Los Angeles. This is Klean Radio. And now, your king of all social media. All rise for Sir Budwin Totten.
Ta-dam!
How you guys doing?
Good. We've now made Buddy the king of all social media, Pat.
Yes, it's official.
And for those that are just listening on the radio, Buddy has just come in a full king outfit. Which is awesome, and you have to go check it out on cleanradio.com.
He's very Game of Thrones and almost as tall. Buddy Totten is our apparently.
Look at that crown.
According to him, he runs everything,
Yep.
but he does
All
our
social media.
All social media.
All
Buddy,
social
how are
media.
you? Good
I'm
to have you here.
Good to see you. All right, so first off, I want everybody to go and check out our blog.
Wait,
on
what's that in your crown?
It's my sacred pencil passed down to me from Queen
No,
Elizabeth.
he's going to
Really? I
knight. He's
signed
going
up for this?
He's going to knight you with the pencil.
Yeah, welcome our friends in New York City, WOR.
Well, this is for New York City. We needed a king of social media, all social media.
All
So-
social media, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so check it out. Check out our new blog on how cocaine affects the brain at cleantreatmentcenter.com, Facebook Clean Radio, and Twitter at Clean Radio. And first off, I want to congratulate Ray. He's celebrating 3 years and 9 months clean, and he is the winner of our Selfie Sunday Clean Radio Swag Contest, so he'll be getting lots of goodies.
Wow,
in
that
there.
is quite a title. No wonder you're the king of all social media. What was that? The selfie swag? What?
It's long. Selfie Sunday Clean Radio Swag
Right.
Contest.
And
Wow.
that's how we find out if you're sober, if you can say that.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
It's used as a DUI test.
King of all social media. He keeps it short so that people can remember it.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so second up, just to let you guys know what people are talking about on our Facebook page, Klean is Chris is one of our listeners. He's working to get signatures to pass Anthony's Act, which amends the Affordable Care Act to provide a minimum of 90-day inpatient drug or alcohol treatment and up to 180 days per year at a licensed and state-certified facility. So he's been working really hard to get signatures.
That's
and
good.
He wanted
needs
me to
add
pass
in
this
there
along.
the base per diem rate, because the big issue is not whether people are going to get access eventually through the Parity Act. The question is the amount that the government will pay for people to get treatment enough for people to actually operate facilities?
Exactly.
And the quality that will be available. You know, if it's just as good as a prison, then what's the point? You know.
Right, absolutely. So let's see. He was saying here there are currently 22,964 signatures, and they need 25,000, so they're close.
Well, we should be able to get them that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So look, everyone, if you want to learn more, go to moveon.org and do a search for Anthony's Act, and you can sign the petition. You can read more about it.
All right, buddy. Now listen, did you know we've confirmed that wrestling is scripted?
You're
We're
kidding.
sorry about that.
Look, I've
we've
heard people
scripted in
say
the
that
role-
wrestling is scripted.
Wait, we've
I don't think it's scripted.
but
I've
we
watched
scripted
wrestling.
we scripted in the role of king of
media.
all social media.
I've watched wrestling
So
for
we're
years.
now-
It's totally
are you ready
real.
to wrestle?
It's
'Cause we got
totally
someone to
real.
wrestle you.
All right, Buddy Todd. Thanks, buddy.
All right, you're welcome.
Matt Wiese is our guest tonight, and again, we do welcome our friends in New York City, WOR 710, the voice of New York. And did I just see that?
That
he
was
dressed?
great.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
Does he hand out candy and stuff?
I don't know.
So Matt, the lifestyle of the wrestling gang. I've hung out with these people.
These
like
people.
you're animals.
How
Well,
about
you are
those people?
animals.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've seen it. In fact, I think I might have stolen some pills out of the thing. But it's just so freely done, right? Now, how do you guys get the medicine?
Well,
Or the pills?
When I wrestled, it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Now I'm not. I don't know how the WWE is now. I think
We're not accusing them of anything,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think they cleaned up a little bit. It's publicly traded now,
Right.
and so guys have to take drug tests now. Back then, we were just running wild, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I had 7, 8 different doctors in different cities writing scripts, and I would.
What'd you say, back?
Oh yeah, you just walk in there. You know what I mean?
They take one look at you. What are they going to do?
Yeah,
hand over a script.
Six-
right?
used to look like-
6'5", 300 pounds.
This is
they
this
point
is the
out-
part of the wrestling that's scripted.
Right. Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you. First pun of the year.
No, that was good. First pun of the year, but it's
Yeah, it was a good pun.
April.
Yeah, but that's how
Took you that long?
unfunny we are.
In the Prescription Thugs in the documentary, which debuts at Tribeca soon, they talk about that. If you walk in, you look in the phone. They said look in the phone book and see how many pain centers there are. and walk into any one of them and hold your back, and you'll get a script. Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
partly
that's
by
easy.
law, though, they have to. What's going on now, though, is that there's registries. So states are beginning to register every prescription. So you can't doctor shop. So the most you're going to get is the minimal amount that a doctor is forced to prescribe to you. Because if you go to another doctor, unless they're dirty doctors,
Right.
which there
It's
are
all
some,
computerized now. And they
yeah,
look at it.
yeah. And then the pharmacies have a registry
Even
as well.
pharmacies too.
So yeah.
Yeah,
It's
they,
getting
they
harder and harder.
cross-reference each other.
Yeah.
So was it the lifestyle? I mean, first of all, you do. By the way, we joke about it being scripted, but you do get banged around and hurt.
Yeah, you get hurt.
Even that soft floor hurts,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Yes. Yep.
And when you land on somebody, that guy's going to get hurt.
Yeah, you land wrong. You get accidentally punched. Get hit over the head with a chair. You know what I mean?
I mean, you said you were using and doing drugs when you were young. Did that bring you into wrestling? That was then a lifestyle that used drugs and alcohol, or was there a connection to that? Or
No,
it just all kind of worked together?
Yeah, it all worked together. I had friends that worked for the WWE, so I graduated ASU, Arizona State University, and what was I going to do? Go work for $30,000 a year? You know what I mean? So
Well, no party school there, by the way.
yeah, Arizona State.
Did you play sports?
No, I didn't. No,
Really?
no,
Interesting.
No.
So you just like lifted weights and?
Yeah.
You think that's kind of addicting? I always find a lot of people that lift weights constantly pretty addicted to it.
Well, everything I ever did, I was addicted to women, drugs, steroids. I mean, you name it.
Huh. So this was just an extension of another type of addiction for you.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
I'm sorry about that. I left the mic on there for Buddy. It's not turned off.
Okay.
We apologize for that noise.
Yeah, it's bad echo.
So, by the way, we have 888-601-6040 is our professional helpline. CleanTreatmentCenters.com, and there's people there 24/7. I think that the travel and the lifestyle and you guys were always known, and they still are, and I know they've cleaned it up, but nothing ever gets really cleaned up.
No.
But it's just a circus, right? I mean, you try to put us into that world.
Okay, listen, I would fly out of Phoenix, Arizona, which was my home. Let's say I would fly to L.A., catch a connecting flight to Sydney, Australia. I would arrive in Sydney, wrestle that night. And then I would catch a flight the next day to Melbourne, catch a flight the next day to Adelaide, catch a flight the next day to Perth, and then we would leave Australia. So I'd fly back to Sydney and fly back to L.A. And then I would be home for 2 days, and I'd go out and do it all over again.
Man, how did I fly quite a bit for business, and like one long trip wipes me out.
Yeah, we flew more than the flight attendants.
Wow, really?
Oh yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
So
Did you meet a lot of flight attendants?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, you must have dealt with a lot of inflammation then, right? Because the pressure of the planes, and then you're already getting beaten up. And
Yeah.
then you're taking drugs on top of that and drinking. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we did pills to deal with that.
Right.
So
as part of trying to be functional, was actually becoming more and more addicted.
yes.
How crazy do you have to be? Matt Wiese is our guest. Used to be Luther Reigns. You hate that, right?
No.
Oh, you don't?
I don't know.
I've been known to jump on some of you guys. You know that about
Yeah,
me, right?
I know.
And
you're a crazy dude.
I am.
Yeah. I heard your story.
Yeah, no, I've hung around.
They called him the tap dancer.
No, they're some of them are afraid of me because they're afraid I'll do some weird thing to them. But you're sober now. Let's get to that
Yes.
part because that's the great news.
I got sober December 28th of 2009 when I had my stroke. I haven't touched anything since. Yeah.
Cravings or
No, it's weird because, I don't fully understand the brain, but I know that part of my brain that was killed during the stroke.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I haven't had any cravings. I still smoke cigarettes.
But nicotine is so above and beyond addicting. That,
By the way, smoking's not all right, but you gotta have something.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
smoking's one of the hardest, if not
Yeah.
the hardest things. To
I can't
quit.
quit either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that doesn't surprise me. And there's different parts of the brain that are affected by addiction. And actually, the ones that you start earlier have the most neural pathways developed around them. So you probably started smoking cigarettes pretty young.
Yeah.
So before like some of these other
8.
things. Yeah, 8. So, so a lot of your brain as a child developed around the need for nicotine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how rampant? Well, I know that it's rampant in all sports. We just talked about the Josh Hamilton thing, and that we see a lot of baseball players. You and I were talking earlier, Matt, because they have so much time on their hands.
Yeah.
And what do you do? I still have people call me in my recovery world, and they say to me, I feel like getting high. I said, we'll get to a meeting or get to some, do you want me to come over? He said, no. I said, what's your schedule? Well, there's something I can go to in an hour, but I'm afraid in that hour,
Yes.
I won't have it. And I think
Yeah.
what we teach at the Klean centers is get a structure to your life, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what's good about AA. That's what's good about treatment centers is that you meet a group of people that hopefully you'll bond with and be able to relate to about these issues. And you're right, like an hour can be an awfully long time. The difference between using and not using for someone that's addicted can become razor thin, and just the smallest thing can blow you one way or the other. So, definitely being able to call people and reach out to people and have people that understand that line, and also who aren't going to judge you if you do screw up, but they're probably going to help you again. That's really one of the biggest gifts you can get from the fellowship of recovery.
Well said. Why not just drink and do cocaine like normal addicts?
I used to. I used to drink
Right, but
pretty
the pills,
heavily.
but my point is, nobody ever. Well, we know it's all bad for you. But I think one of the points they make in Prescription Thugs, which is out the 19th at Tribeca,
Yep.
and you can go on the web and look at it. And it's fascinating. But nobody really knew. Now we're starting to figure out because people are dying, and people like you are coming out saying I had this stroke.
Yeah.
But I mean, nobody gets it in sports. They just said this will help. I mean, I've been around sports long enough where they just say, got a headache here. And I would go in and say, I have a massive headache. And they give me something. About 30 minutes later, I'm like flying. Like I thought, was Timothy Leary hand me this?
Yeah.
Many times he did, by the way. But I mean, they never said, by the way, Matt, this could, impair your judgment or.
I don't. You're talking about the doctors saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't.
I'm not putting any of this on wrestling.
Yeah, I understand that. You're not putting anything on the
Just
doctors
to make Phil happy.
Yeah, but I mean, I think the doctors get paid.
I think everybody has a vested interest in
Yes.
making it happen, right? I mean, it's like, what do they do to put a lineman out on the field? They'll lidocaine his whole leg and he won't feel anything, and put cortisone in his knee. Those might not be addictive substances, but the use of drugs to enhance or even just make people be able to perform has just been a real problem in all sports.
Matt Wiese is our guest tonight. He's a former. He looks like he still is. Man, you're.
I wouldn't even go near him. I mean, he scares the hell out
I
of
asked
me.
him to fight me.
Were you like a good wrestler or a bad wrestler in character?
I was a bad guy.
He was
You were a
bad,
bad
man.
guy?
Bad guy.
He
Yeah.
was a serious bad guy.
Watch some YouTube videos.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
was just.
I'm gonna have to do this.
yeah,
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Andrew, this is for you and
Okay.
for all the people out there too. A lot of people, the drug companies, and there's a show. They had the Chris Rock comedy bit in there where he says, they put these ads on. And Andrew, you and I stay up late enough where we watch enough catching up on our day. We see these ads where they give you every single symptom until you find the one that you have.
Chris Rock. Yeah, right.
But I mean, it's funny, but it's not. It's actually true, right? And what has happened is there's no control over these drug companies. There's new medications. I'll be honest. I see some, and I God, maybe I need that.
Well, I mean, it's really strange because we went through a long period before science really became very prolific at identifying substances and then classifying them as medications and then finding a way to prescribe them in ways that worked. So for centuries before that, or a few centuries before that, a lot of medicine was like snake oil stuff. It was like this kind of oil and that kind of powder and this, and some of them worked, and most of them had alcohol in them, and then the rest of them had some other side of addictive substance in them.
like elixirs or something.
Yeah. And then we went through very highly, strictly regulated medication. And then what happened is Reagan opened up something called the Supplement Act, which allowed basically supplements to be labeled and claim no medical benefit, but they can imply one. And so now we have all sorts of drugs out there that are labeled as supplements. And even worse, we have a whole epidemic of what they're calling legal drugs, or drugs that are being synthesized, mostly in China and other countries, and then brought to America and sold as all sorts of things on the street. So, and they're labeled bath salts and all this other stuff and all these pseudocannabinoids. And so the problem is that we're never going to be able to stop the emergence and the proliferation of any kind of substance. What we really need to do is legalize, regulate, and make sure that people, if they are going to abuse themselves and or they are using drugs for a habit, that at least we know that they can do it as safely as possible until hopefully they come around and get the help they need.
Once again, I want to welcome our friends in New York. Hey, give us a call, somebody from New York, 800. By the way, it's like calling a New York taxi driver.
Which nobody's ever done.
Well, but they'll recognize all the twos.
Although
in
they
our number.
have Uber now, you don't call either, though. You just request.
Right, okay.
So you're a generation behind.
No, you're a joke behind. This is
Okay.
No, this is a joke. It's not. 800-222-5222. It's a bad joke.
It's been a bad joke for.
But
for
now
a
that we
while.
have New York on, it's kind of fun to say.
Okay, all right. I guess I'll give you this one time.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's like calling a New York taxi. 800-222-5222. Give us a call from the WOR audience. I know you're out there. Matt Wiese's.
I would die if somebody called us from New York and asked for a taxi.
I'm not going to do that.
You'll pay somebody if they do. Are you about to say that?
I used to hang out with, we used to shut off WOR 1 week.
Yeah,
They're
right.
holding a contest where you call, you get paid. Can you imagine? I used to hang out with Timothy Leary, and his theory was, a brilliant guy, inventor of group therapy and so many things. If people don't know who he is, Google him. He's invented, kind of the guy that brought acid. But he used to say, he wished that everybody wore a name tag that said what they were on at that moment. Right. And I think, that really, because did you know who you're getting in or what you're getting in the ring with?
I never thought of that. Wow.
What do you mean?
Like did you, since you were on so many pills or drugs, do you know what, did you ever know?
Like somebody else that you were going to wrestle
this guy
was
gonna
like
be as
totally
crazy as me.
loaded and.
Oh yeah, we were all loaded.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Back when I wrestled,
right?
You know what I mean? We were all loaded.
So that got dangerous, huh? You guys would probably be disinhibited and do crazy stuff.
Honestly, it wasn't that unsafe. You know.
Wait, you had a stroke?
Well, yes,
Yeah, well,
but I'm talking in the big picture. It was very unsafe.
Right.
But like landing, getting,
yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was choreographed to the point where you would know.
Yeah. Yes.
And Paul, by the way, we have to take our first New York call. Joseph from Yonkers. Right. Hello, Joe. How are you, man? It's Pat.
Okay. The reason I'm calling is this: that actually someone was speaking about snake oil salesmen, and sort of derogatory way. Now, snake oil, by the way, has high omega-3, and it's known to have.
Oh, I love it. A pro snake oil. It's a metaphor, sir.
What is that?
It's a metaphor. A metaphor is a use of language where.
No, I understand that, but the problem is a lot of people make this in this derogatory.
Yeah, but it's been used derogatory for hundreds of years. Snake oil
since the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, it's a term in English that everybody's been using.
It's not the Wizard of Oz. It has omega-3 in it, and everybody knows omega-3 is good.
Yeah, we're not talking about actual snake oil. We're talking about snake oil salesmen. It's a metaphor for drugs that didn't do anything that were fake.
Joseph, thank you. Our first call from New York. We love it. From Yonkers. But that's okay. I mean, it's a big tent here.
We're about educating the public.
But it's like snake oil is like the same kind of joke you make about car salesmen, lawyers, blah, blah, blah.
Like sharks. They're sharks.
They're
it's
sharks.
a metaphor.
They're not really a shark.
They're not really a shark. It's a metaphor.
So you get into the ring, and let's say, what's the biggest match you ever had?
Undertaker.
Yeah, on the Undertaker.
Pay-per-view.
Undertaker was a good guy?
Yep.
Yeah, the Undertaker was a good guy.
Undertaker sounds like a bad guy.
Yeah, no. Was Ted DiBiase good? He was good, right?
No, he was a bad guy.
$1 Million Man, he was?
Yeah, he was a heel.
I saw him make a 10-year-old little Hispanic kid cry.
Exactly.
He told the kid to come up on stage and said, "Can you do 10 push-ups for $500?" I was there. The kid eking out like 3, and Ted started yelling at him, "You can't eke out 4 more for your poor family."
Oh no! Sorry.
Yeah.
But Hulk was a good guy, right?
No? Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We can get into that all night. There's still quite. Do people still recognize you and see you? You have such a little bit different look, but
yeah, I get recognized every once in a while.
Because these wrestling fans are crazy, right?
Wrestling fans are.
They're not crazy. Don't call. They're embedded.
They're fanatics, man. Yeah, I was sitting in a Kona Grill in Detroit last week, and somebody came up to me and said, I recognize you from wrestling.
Did people ever like just jump on you randomly?
No.
Really? Never?
I'm the only guy that does that.
Okay, it's just Pat. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm sparing you tonight.
Yes.
I can't believe that doesn't happen though. Like I would think,
Well,
like, people would be like, oh, they'd be drunk or something. They'd be like, oh, that's a wrestler. I'm gonna give him a shot.
I've been when I was drinking. Well, I still go to bars with buddies, but when I was drinking, guys would come up to Jerry Bradshaw and these people, and they would like, I'm from Pittsburgh and I hate you. You know,
jeez.
You know?
There's been guys pick fights with me for sure. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
And what happened there?
I mean, I got in a fight with one guy. He said, "I'm going to knock you out," and so I said, "Oh, really?" And I just knocked him out. Yeah,
that's right.
You know,
I can we hire you for the office?
Well, I could go on and on. You know what I mean? You know, but yeah.
So
I believe him more than LL Cool J.
Yes.
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 Okay.
Absolutely.
It's another joke. I'm gonna knock you out.
Yeah.
That took me 2 seconds to get it.
Okay.
Hey, Matt, moving forward, what do you want your story to mean to people? Because obviously don't do drugs and don't, but it's kind of, Andrew, too, it's kind of the get caught up in something that you don't know how to end. And that's kind of the point of this program every week is to not only end the stigma, but try to end the lifestyle you're doing and get clean.
Yes.
How do you do that? How have you done that? And
with me, I had a stroke. Look,
that's a big consequence.
Yeah, look, the week before I had the stroke, I was sitting in the garage, smoking a cigarette, looking out on the street. And I told myself, Matt, you can either get on Suboxone, or you can just keep doing pills.
Suboxone is a drug.
It's a replacement therapy for opiates.
Yep. So I could get on Suboxone, or I could make the decision to just keep doing pills until the wheels fell off, And so I said, you know what? I'm not getting on Suboxone. I'm going to take pills until the day I die. And a week later, I had the stroke.
Well, I drank myself to almost death.
Yes.
On the same thought, thinking I'm Pat O'Brien. What's going to happen to me? And I'm sitting here in Nantucket at my house, and the wine's good. Yeah, that's how we think, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, it gets to that point. Yeah, and people say to me, how safe is doing heroin? It seems like there's millions of people doing it. It must be fine. I'm like, well, yeah. We also had the most heroin overdoses in history this past year.
Well,
right. And by the way, speaking of WR in New York City, heroin deaths have outnumbered murders now.
Yeah, there are more heroin overdoses than murders this year.
Well, 2 years in a row.
Pain pills are the same thing. They're both opiates. You know?
They're all opiates. Same class of drugs.
In the movie Prescription Thugs, Chris Bell makes a point. He says the United States makes up 5% of the population, yet we consume 75% of the opiates in the world.
Apparently, we consume so many opiates, everybody in the world could be stoned for 2 months or something ridiculous a day.
Really?
Yeah,
7 billion people.
Right, that was in the documentary.
Yeah.
So it's out of control.
Yeah.
So your advice to all
that
these...
explains Walmart.
Oh man,
it probably does.
It probably does.
Phil, is Phil
dead
listening
air?
tonight?
I got dead air off.
No.
Did we just lose a sponsor?
No, I was going to do it. Well, I was going to make a joke about checking out from Walmart. I couldn't come up with it.
All right.
Before we go, see Prescription Thugs. It's really great. We'll put it on our website, right, Patrick? And we'll get it out to everybody. What's your next step? You still have to. Are you still in therapy or anything? Or is everything back?
No. I still have.
What's the no for?
I suffer a lot of residuals from the stroke.
Okay.
Just various stuff. I forget a lot. Or I'll my legs will go numb, or I'll have like a cloudy head sometimes. Today is a good day for me.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you something. You sound good. This is your first interview after the stroke.
Yes.
So I think Andrew and I agree. You sound lucid and great, and you look good. And I wouldn't suggest you go out and party, but
no.
Actually, we can party. We can you and I will go and have coffee some night.
Yeah, we'll
have a
have
Red
coffee.
Bull and
Red Bull.
I don't know if Red Bull's really the answer.
Well, that's why I know that came up in the documentary.
Yeah, I was drinking 20 Red Bulls a day.
Yeah, I'd avoid the energy
for
drinks.
Years. Yeah.
I mean,
I was going to say why 20, but he's an addict, so that's what happened.
Right. Also, they came in packs of 20. So.
They did? How do you know that?
I don't.
Okay. All right. Hey, Matt, we love your story. We love that you're alive.
Thank
and
you.
There's a God. We know that. And
Yes.
God of a choice.
Yes.
And he looked after you. I'm
Yes,
glad.
he did. He saved me.
And I'll meet you out back, and I'm just going to pound you into that wall.
I just
like
want you
Okay.
to know I'm a bad wrestler too, so we can't wrestle.
Okay.
You can't have
So
two
it's
bad
left up to
wrestlers
me.
against each other,
Yep,
right?
yep.
Matt Wiese, the movie's Prescription Thugs. Thank you very much.
Keep
By the way,
myself alive here.
this week we opened up the Klean Cafe car. What are we calling it? Klean?
It's a Clean Cafe truck. It's
Truck.
actually a food truck. Yeah, it's a car. It's a VW Beetle.
I was trying to be KKK.
No,
KCK.
really, Pat?
No.
You're just what? I don't know. Okay, Clean Cafe. It's a food truck that we built. It's a nonprofit that I just started. It's going to go around and sell coffee, like high-end coffees and juices and cakes and stuff like that to people at events and in meetings and stuff like that. And all the money that it raises in profit goes to help people that can't get into treatment by paying for treatment.
And the truck is
great.
I was trying to do a litter of all K's, but that didn't work out. The truck is gorgeous. And it's great.
I put a fair amount of money into it and then donated it into the nonprofit, so I'm really excited.
It's really
about
good.
it. Yeah.
So give us a call if you think you might have a problem going on. Our call-in number is 800-222-522. That's our call number here. But call our Klean Centers. Go to cleancenter.com and you get all the information. Therapists are there at 888-601-6040. We're always here to help. That's what we do for a living, to help you get clean.
No snake oil.
No snake. Don't believe
even if
me.
it has some vitamin omega-3 in it or whatever.
We'll see you next week.
Okay.
Are you or someone you care about addicted to drugs or alcohol? Addiction ruins lives and destroys families. Bring an end to the pain and suffering by calling Klean Treatment Centers. Klean has helped people from around the world break free by not only treating the addiction, but the underlying causes and providing vital aftercare so people can get clean and stay clean with no gimmicks and no false promises. If you need immediate assistance or just have questions, call Klean Treatment Centers for guidance. A much better life awaits.